It sounds like you say the Devil in the Deep Blue Sea, it brings smiles to people's faces when they hear your dad playing with the ukulele, because that's the way he was, just kind of walking around and singing around the house.
Yeah, we're everywhere. You know, in the car, on the plane. I've seen him play, you know, ukulele to people in first class on a British Airways flight. I've seen him do it everywhere, you know, wherever he went, he'd always have one in his bag.
Jeff, did he ever talk to you about what he intended or what he wanted his legacy to be? You know, musically or otherwise, the way he led his life?
He never actually said what he wanted his legacy to be. Now, I think George just wrote songs that were very meaningful, and I think what he said in his words, all his songs, are just great messages, very wise and loving, you know, and a little bit naughty sometimes, just, you know, just for the fun of it. But basically, he believed in love and God. That's what I always got from him.
Danny, a lot of people don't know you. Your father was known as a very private man, and I think that most would agree that he was very successful in sheltering you from a lot, not all, but a lot of the media storm that surrounded him as a former Beatle. I guess, and you're only 24, so it's hard to look back on your life, but tell me about your parents' efforts to try and shelter you from that. Did you ever feel stifled?
No, I think it's a brilliant thing. You know, I don't think anyone should be forced to be a public figure just because they're born into a family of people who are recognized in the media. I mean, you know, it's one thing if they then go on to have a career or do something that's worth something or has merit, you know, or they even just want to be famous. Even then, people can be famous just because they want to be. That's fine as well in a way, but, you know, I'm happy that my parents have, you know, forced me, not even forced me, just steered me in the direction of privacy rather than the public eye, because, you know, as not many people know, it's, you know, it's not all great being followed and chased and everything, and it's nice to be able to go down the street and have your privacy, something that my dad never had, you know, and I really have seen it from an early age, just how...
You've had to cope with paparazzi, haven't you?
You know, not even that, just even old ladies coming up to you in the street. You know, it's everyone. It's, you know, policemen, you know, it's, you know, anything.
Is it true that you were watching TV with your dad at one point when his death was announced?
Yes, that was, I think, on CBS or NBC, Dateline or something. I saw it twice, actually. You know, good old trustworthy.
How did your dad react? I mean, as you're sitting there and you're watching TV and hearing that?
He laughed.
Did it put a bad taste in your mouth, or did you just laugh as well?
I don't know. I mean, yeah. I mean, we all laughed. I mean, but it's not. You know, it's all fun and games until you have to call every single relative that you've ever known and every friend of yours and tell them you're not dead, and they're all crying. You know, that's not fun, but, you know, it's good for a laugh.
What about now? Well, your dad left you everything, you're 24 years old, you're in charge of an estate of a former Beatle. Are you feeling the weight of that? How do you manage with that? Because materially speaking, that's a big responsibility. You know, not to intimidate you.
It's only in the letting go that we can attain everything.
Are you happy at the end of the day now? Well, I mean, you must be happy. The reviews for the albums are saying it's an incredible epitaph to your father. It's some of the best work that George Harrison has ever done. Are you happy with those reviews?
Yeah, I think we are. You know?
Very.
Yeah. We put a lot of hard work into this, and it's our gift to people, so I'm glad if people like it. That's good. That's what we want, you know?
That's right. That's all you can ask for, is for people to hear it, actually. People to get to hear it.
And you've got the big tribute concert organized, Ringo Starr, Paul McCartney, Eric Clapton.
Well, it's Eric's concert. Eric actually is the boss of the concert. And Danny and myself are playing on it. And we're having a great time rehearsing, actually, doing all George's great songs.
A lot of chords.
Millions of chords. There's some very complex songs there, and yet The melody is so beautiful and simple, but what underlies them is these fantastic array of chords that you have to learn every 12 seconds.
Danny, is this the future for you now? Will you stay in the music industry, or is this a one-off, you simply did to keep your father's memory alive and to demonstrate his work?
I'm not a big fan of the music industry, but I love music, and if and when I ever do anything that I would think is good enough to release, then maybe I'll release it. But I'm a perfectionist, so I wouldn't dare do anything that I wasn't happy with, and I don't plan to be famous, so maybe.
Would it be fair to say you're a chip off the old block, somebody who likes music, who's a perfectionist, who has no real plans to become famous?
Probably. Yes. Yes, I think you probably...
He's definitely
right
a
there.
chip. He's definitely a chip. He's a wedge off the old block.
Jeff, would you call him a chip off the old block too, though? I mean, you've worked with both Harrisons.
That's true, yeah. Danny's is his own guy, even though he's only 24. And he's very much like George in lots of ways. His wit and just the fun, the fun things that we do. Very silly, but also very serious.
Danny, Jeff, thanks very much for talking to us.
Thank you, Seamus. She loves you.
Thanks, Seamus.
There's much more to come on Canada AM, so stay with us.